Welcome to the Knife Junkie podcast, your weekly dose of knife news and information about knives and knife collecting. Here's your host, Bob the Knife Junkie DeMarco.
Welcome to the Knife Junkie podcast. I'm Bob DeMarco. On this edition of the show, I'm speaking with bladesmith Joseph Bandeko. I met Joseph at his table in the waning moments of Blade Show this year and was blown away by his dazzling and complicated forged knives. On offer were art knives like a Damascus recurve Bowie and a big fullered Dagger, both with a double keyhole handle. He was also selling more down-to-earth and robust outdoors knives as well. As a collector, I can say that Joseph's art knives are the kind of fixed blades I aspire to have in my collection someday. We'll meet Mr. Bandeko and find out how he's come so far so fast. But first, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Also, if you'd like to help support the show, you can go to TheKnifeJunkie.com/Patreon. You can also see interview extras like the one I'll do with Joseph today. Just scan the QR code on your screen and it'll take you right there. That's TheKnifeJunkie.com/Patreon.
Want to sell your custom knives online? With LaunchCart, you can easily create your own e-commerce store. No coding required. LaunchCart is designed for knife makers like you, with built-in tools to showcase your craftsmanship, manage orders, and grow your brand. It's fast, flexible, and even includes low-cost payment processing to help you keep more of your profits. Start your online knife store today at TheKnifeJunkie.com/launch and turn your passion into a business.
Joseph, welcome to the Knife Junkie podcast, sir. How you doing?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm good. I'm great.
It's my pleasure. I'm glad I was introduced to you. Now I don't remember who introduced me to you. I'm not sure if you remember.
I believe it was Wingman Wearables.
Zach Wingard. Okay. All right, cool. I was thinking that before, but he introduced me to a number of people, so I didn't want to make assumptions. Yeah, he's a great guy, but I'm really glad he showed me to your table because your work is amazing. And like I mentioned up front, it's beautiful, and you do some really artsy stuff and some robust stuff. I shouldn't say artsy, I should say artful. But tell me how this all started for you.
Yeah, well, thank you. Honestly, I've grown up with a knife in my hand for as long as I can remember. My grandfather was an avid hunter and into knives, and I'm not entirely sure what was the thing that was like, I want to try making knives, but I was like, I finally got kind of a situation where I could give it a go, and I actually took my dad's 21 by 3-inch belt sander, like a handheld, turned it upside down. That was my first grinder. And I actually have my first knife here if you want to see it.
Yeah, let me see that.
It's nothing pretty, but I made it out of a farrier's rasp that a farrier friend gave to me. And it's just got some simple Perdue wingate handles, brass pins. And I actually made a coal forge that has questionable heat treats, but that's how I heat treated it. It was in a coal forge.
Wait, hold that back up for a second real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Hold that back up for a second real quick.
Yes, sir.
Please. Thank you. This to me looks like a frontier knife. It looks like something that's kind of made on the trail almost.
Yeah.
That is a beauty. And it's amazing because, it's a nice knife. It looks, from a farrier's rasp and such, it looks like it's pretty tough and all that, but kind of compared to the stuff you're making right now, well, is it kind of interesting to revisit old knives as you look at what you're doing now?
It is. And I try not to criticize myself too much on stuff like that, because when I made that, I had no idea what I was doing. But obviously, I've put a lot of time into making my knives be the best that they can. And yeah.
All right. Okay, so hold up one of your current day knives, and with that knife, let's see the contrast. And then I want you to tell me how you went from that upside down handheld grinder to where you are today. So let's see those two knives.
I actually have my latest piece right here. This is Anduin. It was a Lord of the Rings themed Persian-esque fighter up against my very first one.
Wow.
Yeah. This one I actually put probably as many hours thinking into the design as I did actually making it. But yeah, from that one to the latest piece, I started at my parents' garage, and then after a bit, I got my own shop, and my dad kind of helped me raise some funds, and I actually built my own grinder, kind of built my own shop area, and then it kind of snowballed from there. And like I ended up buying a Coal Iron Works press, making my first Damascus. Right here's twisted W's. I don't know if you can see that very well, but this is a personal knife. I've used it quite a bit, and yeah, I've put a lot of time into that.
Well, so you made yourself a coal forge. How did you do that?
So the coal forge, since then I've made a couple of gas forges, but I actually took 2 large bricks and put them in a V, and then just put some coal in there and a blower on the back. And let's just say it overheated the first piece on the heat treat. But since then I've bought a even heat kiln, and so now I can really dial in that heat treat and test it out and get it working well.
So, but you're still starting out on kind of some rough materials and, well, you know, a rough forge and all that. That's probably what's going to make you an even better knife maker when you get the good stuff, right?
Yeah. My first 3 or 4 knives were on all just files, whether it was a Farrier's rasp or just some other file, and just hand tools. That was it. There was really no power tools other than like a drill, hand drill.
So you start making Damascus. How does that come into your consciousness, and how are you learning? Like, do you have a mentor at this point, or are you just doing it yourself?
I have had a few people that have loosely mentored, but overall it's just self-taught with reading, watching videos, asking questions online, and then, you know, in person at shows and stuff, getting opinions. And yeah, I put a lot of time just reading, studying. But after my second knife, actually, I spent countless hours just studying, and then that's when I started making my second knife and whatever.
So what are the knives from history, or what are the knives, what knife types really inspire you?
One of my biggest inspirations is Jason Knight. You could probably see that in some of my pieces.
Maybe that first one a little bit, that double.
Yeah, that was loosely inspired. I've got a chopper that I'm working on right now. Actually, that was inspired by him. Yeah.
So what is it about Jason Knight's work that you like? Is it the recurve?
The recurve, the lines. I really like his lines and everything. With that said, though, I've very much tried to not copy anyone's style.
Yeah.
And tried to do my own thing. Because the last thing I want to do is just copy paste. I don't like people that do that, so I don't want to do it myself.
Well, just in looking, Jim had your Instagram page up, and just looking at the knives like your daggers, for instance, or that big recurve Bowie, they show an incredible amount of skill. You haven't been doing this that long. Hold up one of those daggers if you have one.
Yeah.
Something we can
Let's see.
and tell us, bring us through the making of something like this.
So this one, I made this one 3 years ago. I believe it was, I think the first keyhole I saw was from Salem Straub. And I was like, that's really cool. And he actually made a little hunting knife that was a double keyhole. And I'm like, what if I put that on a dagger? And I've never seen anyone do that. And I was like, I'm going to give it a go. And I thought about making this piece in Damascus, but I actually decided to go with mono steel, just to kind of prove to myself that I can make something that's really, really clean, but also be a little more complicated. Because there's stuff in here with Damascus, you can hide mistakes and scratch lines and stuff. With the mono steel like this, you can't hide anything.
So that's because you have nothing to distract you from the scratches that you're putting in, or
yeah, all the little scratch lines and everything have to flow. And with Damascus, like you don't have to worry about that as much.
So that dagger to me looks like something that I would have seen on the cover of a fantasy book or a Lord of the Rings or something. I mean, that really has a medieval presence to it. But at the same time, it's like light and graceful. What inspired that particular design?
Honestly, it's been a minute since I made that piece, and I can't entirely remember. But I just wanted something that had simple lines, nothing too complicated, but yet graceful and precise execution. And I didn't want to be like crazy. That's why I decided to not do Damascus. I didn't want that over the top.
I got you. Can you hold up the handle so we can take a look at it? And can you tell us about the difficulties or the challenges of a keyhole? And obviously this double keyhole, I guess, presents twice the challenge, but I know it's not something everyone does, and I don't think that it's a very easy thing to do. Am I correct?
Keyholes are very easy to do. They're hard to get right. So with this piece, one of the biggest challenges with the keyhole is not having any gaps at the back of this wing here. And this was actually the third piece of wood that I went through before I got it right.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, it's very hard to not get any gaps up in here, and then like up in the very front part. And then the other thing with doing a double keyhole on a dagger is you got to line everything up. If it's not in line, you got problems. So that was the biggest challenge with this, getting that precise. And I actually got everything in line within a few thousandths of an inch.
Wow.
So you're never going to see any of that with the human eye. Like if you put it on super precise gauges, you might pick something up, but it's going to be small.
So it's an absolute straight line from the tip to the point of the pommel.
Yep.
Nice. It is a really, really good looking knife. Yeah. And I take it, it's not just I could see the edge as you were turning it around. So these are things that are also combat ready if you were maybe in Middle Earth, but it's something that also looks strong. It's not just a pretty face, in other words. What about that Bowie? Do you have that recurve Bowie by chance?
It is right here.
Let's take a look at this.
So this was my second attempt at doing keyholes. I actually have not done a single keyhole on a knife. And so it's been double every time, which adds a little bit of extra complex, makes it a little more complicated.
Yeah.
But with this piece, it's actually, you can see the guard and then the pommel, and then the blade, actually, the tang comes all the way through. And then I've got a little mosaic like pin screwing it all together.
Wow. What is that wood?
This is Siam rosewood. I don't know if you can see it in the lighting very well, but
And then it
when
looks
it's out
like,
in the sun, it really, really pops.
are the pommel and guard, what is that, like a wrought iron or something?
It's bronze.
Bronze. Oh, that's so cool.
And I actually, this much bronze would be ridiculously heavy. So I've actually gone in and I've hollowed out a lot of that, and lost a lot of weight from that.
All right. So are you just like a creative guy, or are you the kind of guy who can fix everything? Like how is it that you are making knives like this, having done this for how long you've been doing this?
I've been making for just over 5 years.
Just over 5 years.
And yeah, before knives, I would make wooden longbows, cut down the tree, season the wood, and then turn it into the bow. So I had a little bit of experience with like woodworking and stuff. And my grandfather was also a luthier. He made guitars. So I actually called him and talked to him a few times about just different woodworking questions and such. And that definitely helped. That was an inspiration for me as well.
So did you find going from wood or adding metal to the wood that you were working, was that a big deal, or was it something your mind easily wrapped itself around due to your experience with making other stuff?
I would say it was pretty easy. I mean, obviously that there's certain things that I was second guessing myself with. I was like, you know what? Why can't I do this? You know,
Like what kind of stuff? Like what kind of stuff?
Like especially like early on with the heat treating stuff, I would kind of second question my heat treats, stuff like that, grinds. But as I got more experience, it's like, no, I got this. It's good. Yeah.
So when you would question yourself about your heat treats, second guess yourself, how would you test it? Would you take them out and kind of run them through the paces?
Yeah. I would, depending on the knife, right? I would do bend tests, which is sometimes not the best, but I would do bend tests, like chopping tests and whatnot. In fact, I had a knife similar to this one, which we can talk about in a minute.
So cool.
But I had a knife similar to that one that I got shaving sharp, and then I was chopping through 2x4s, and I ran out of 2x4s, but I chopped through that 2x4 15 times, and it was still shaving hair.
Wow.
And so other just edge retention tests like that. That's my biggest thing, is like having an edge that will hold and not chip or roll or anything.
What kind of steels do you use primarily?
I've dabbled in everything, honestly. High carbons. One of my favorite high carbon steels is 80 but I've done high alloy steels, stainlesses, MagnaCut, 3V, stuff like that.
So, but some of them, I take it you're doing stock removal. Some of them you're forging, right?
Yeah. Most of the time, if it's a high carbon blade, I'm forging it. But if I want the highest possible performance, then I'm going for a high alloy steel, which you can forge, but it's just not worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. Why not? Why don't you forge stainless steels?
You absolutely can, but it is much more difficult. You have to get your forging temperatures spot on, or you can crack it. And then just the extra processes, there's extra steps to the heat treat that complicate it. And at the end of the day, it's not worth it for a lot of things. I absolutely could. Yeah.
Yeah. I just know intuitively that you don't really forge, or that you can, but most people don't. But I never really thought to ask why. But so with the ones that you use, say 3V, you're making an outdoor knife, something like that, Kephart. I think you had a sort of a Kephart on the table. So that's a totally different process, right? That's a totally different kind of knife making.
Yeah. I actually, when I first started making those high alloy steels like that, I would send them out for heat treat because I didn't have a kiln at the time and I wanted a good heat treat. And I knew that you couldn't just do that in a forge. You can kind of get away with a decent heat treat in a forge for high carbon steels, but you're not going to get away with it on high alloy steels like that.
Okay, so you had that big chopper out. You got to show it. You got to pull this out. Let's talk about this.
So this one's, I think, 22, 23 inches overall. Blades 80 CRV2. And then I've got wrought iron frame and guard. The wrought iron's from a old ship's chain. It's like 130 years old. Each link weighs about 30 pounds. And then I got some vintage micartas on here, and I'll be doing carbon fiber pins on there as well.
That is really cool. This is kind of a kukri, kind of has a little bit of a Bowie in it.
Yeah.
What's this for?
This is for heavy machete type work. I didn't really design it too much for just like chopping a big tree down. If you're going to do that, use an axe, right? Or a chainsaw. Yeah. This is for clearing brush. Like I went out and tested this and I was getting through like 1.5 inch, 2 inch saplings in one swing. That's what this is made for. Stuff that big, maybe a little smaller, something you can get through in a chop or two, heavy brush, etc.
That's so cool. I mean, to me, I see that looks like a weapon to me.
Yeah.
And you know, that's the lens that I see stuff through. But to me, that looks just like a beautiful. It kind of looks to me half Filipino, or I guess a third Filipino, a third Bowie, and a third kukri. You know, it's just got like all of these incredible qualities to it.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what category to put that one in, but this was a piece that was inspired by Jason Knight.
I like how, hold it back up again. I like how you have sort of a brute to forge finish on it. You know, it looks pretty rustic.
Yeah, the finish will be getting refined. I'm going to sandblast it and then stonewash it. So it'll be a little more consistent, but it'll still have that rough, rustic forge texture to it. And this is forged to sharp, you know, literally comes down the edge.
So for people listening who maybe can't see that, or people who don't know, what is forged to sharp?
Forged to sharp is when you forge the blade out and there's really no grinding at all. You just kind of clean up the profile a little bit and then put an edge on it, and that's it.
So it's like 99% forged.
Yeah, pretty much.
So when you do, how does that differ from when you do a fancier knife, for lack of a better terms, like the Bowie? Tell me about the difference in process there.
Well, the biggest difference is time.
Okay.
I'll spend well over 100 hours on a piece like this. And obviously a piece like this has many, many hours into it as well, but not nearly as much. But for a piece like this, I mean, I'll spend weeks working on the Damascus. I'll get I think I started with like a 13-pound billet for this because the pattern on this is very fine and intricate. And so there was a lot of waste.
Hold that back up. I'm sorry. There was a lot of waste. Tell me about that. Look at that pattern. Oh my God.
Yeah. Every time you forge the billet out and then cut it up, grind off the scale, restack it, every time you do that, you've got waste. And so by the time you fold and restack and restack and restack and restack, you just lose the vast majority of your material.
In the pattern of that Damascus, it looks so regular. You know what I mean? It looks like a wallpaper almost. It looks like each little element of it, not cube, but each building block of it looks exactly the same. How do you manage that?
Well, you start with, you kind of have like an end of a bar, right? And then you make your pattern on that, and then you just draw it out, cut it up, and then like re-square it, and keep doing that over and over again. And that way, you have basically a repeating pattern throughout the piece, and then you can keep restacking it, redoing that several times until you get the density you want.
Wow. So you do this all, are you still in that garage?
No, I'm in a barn now. My family built a 40 by 50 pole barn a few years ago, and I moved into that.
Oh, that's nice. So what do you do the most? Is it the forging, or well, tell us about the stock removal knives and how they fit into your scheme, your company.
Yeah, I would definitely say that my passion is more with the high carbon Damascus fancier stuff. But I do also have an appreciation for knives that are more simple but perform. And when it comes to being stainless, having a better edge, those high alloy steels are better for that. Like MagnaCut, for example, it's just, you can't outperform that. It's crazy. And high carbon steel offers a simplicity that you can't get with that. But yeah, the high alloy steels are something that a lot of outdoorsmen and stuff use more. And then high carbon can be more of a art piece, like Damascus and stuff.
High carbon is tougher, right? It takes more of an impact.
Usually, yes. There's some exceptions, but for the most part, yes, high carbon is tougher.
3V, you mentioned you work in 3V sometimes. That's kind of the best of both worlds, right? In terms of toughness and stain free.
Yes. Where's that knife? Right here. This is, I made a batch of these. This is in 3V. This is actually a personal knife I've put through the ringer. Yeah.
It's like a Kephart style if you're just listening.
Yeah, kind of a modified Kephart style. And for this piece, I did the heat treats myself. Yeah, I made a small batch of those, and I really like them. I might do some more in the future.
So as a as a knife maker who's selling stuff and wants to sell more and more stuff, would you are those knives kind of the bread and butter that keep it humming along so that you can do the fancier stuff?
Yeah, exactly. This kind of knife, I can move a lot quicker than the art pieces. The art pieces are a completely different crowd, and not everybody has the money to spend $5,000 on a knife.
Yeah. With the Kepharts and the knives that you do sort of more in a batch, I assume you can get a lot more done a lot quicker as well. And right?
Yeah, I made a dozen of those, and I mean it wasn't fast by any means, but it wasn't bad at all. I probably spent 10 hours on each one. So when you count in the fact that when you work in a batch like that, you can streamline everything so much faster, as opposed to just doing one. I probably would have spent twice that.
Right. So how is it? Like, who do you sell these knives to? Have you had high-end collectors? Because as I mentioned up front, like I don't have any knives like that fancy, but I aspire to have knives that fancy. Are these people whose collections have taken, like, who is your collector?
A lot of it's word of mouth. And then I've also been, I'm not on there a whole lot anymore, but Blade Forums has been one of my biggest selling platforms. But that's more of the like lower end stuff. As far as higher end stuff, it's word of mouth really.
That's pretty cool.
And then shows.
And Instagram, I assume, is helpful.
Yeah, Instagram's a great platform for directing people and be like, this is what I can do. And then they'll, work out something outside of that.
So is your grandfather still with us?
No, he passed a couple years ago.
I'm sorry. But did he get to see you making knives?
He did. He got to see a good amount of my work. Actually, this piece, he passed not long before I started working on this. And when I was done with it, my dad was even like, I wish my dad was here to see this piece. And I would have absolutely loved that. But that's just not how it worked out.
Yeah. I met your dad at your table. It was great to meet both of you. And does your dad have any of this sort of creativity?
He's not really a big maker. He has been a carpenter in the past, but he loves working on cars and other just handyman kind of stuff. He's actually, over the past year, he took apart and he's rebuilt a Yamaha VMAX. He's just about done with it, and it's really cool.
I remember the VMAX. I remember when that came out.
Yeah.
That's a cool motorcycle. Yeah, it's kind of funny. I think that stuff runs in the family, just like facility with your hands, and the ability to make stuff, and the desire to make stuff just seems like a family.
Yeah, my dad didn't have anything to do with teaching me to make knives, but he taught me to use my hands and how to work with my hands. So that was definitely a big thing for me that helped figure that out.
Are there any knives in front of you that you haven't shown yet?
I've got several.
Yeah.
What do you want to see?
Yeah, let's just show me. Let's take a look.
How about, so that double keyhole dagger, that was actually my first dagger. And then this was my second dagger. Are you familiar with Niels Vandenberg?
No.
Okay. He's a mastersmith based out of South Africa. And he, every year, hosts an event anyone can join. And the challenge is you got to make a dagger in 48 hours flat. And so this is what I made in 48 hours. You do thankfully get to make the Damascus beforehand. So that's the only thing that I had done before. But everything else was done in 48 hours. And this is a takedown, so I can actually unscrew this pommel here.
That's so cool.
There's a lot of threads on here. And
that makes you feel secure when you're carrying this on the battlefield. Look at that.
Everything apart.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That is immaculate. So you own that 48 hours. Are you in your own forge, or are you in a?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I'm in my home forge with that, and
put it back together for us to see.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, we're visual creatures.
There's actually a locator pin right there.
Okay.
Everything
and that stops it from rotating, or just gets it exactly fit up.
It wouldn't rotate anyway, but it just helps keep everything tight.
Right.
Yeah, there's no wiggle or anything in any of this. Very, very tight fit up.
This looks like a knight's dagger.
Yeah, it's definitely a kind of an old inspired stiletto with my own modern twist.
Yeah.
And then, you got bronze, garden pommel, African blackwood, and then 80 CRB2 and 15 and 20 Damascus.
Hold the blade up close so we can see the pattern, please. Yeah.
It's a overcomplicated twist pattern that I did.
And a beautifully ground quadruple bevel too. I mean,
it's hollow ground. That was one of the things I spent more time on than the rest of it. was getting that center line nice and crispy and straight. That's something that I've had a lot of people comment on, like that's hard to do, and apparently it's hard to do.
But you don't find it hard to do. That's awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, because if a dagger is off, even if you're not looking at it with a magnifying glass, if a dagger is off, your eye will see it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You might not know exactly how it's off, but you'll know that it's off. And you know, conversely, when you see a dagger, you can tell it's right on from the start, and that everything about that looks crispy, as you said. But what I love about those deep hollow ground bevels is that you're taking what is a thrusting knife and making it the best slasher it can be, or the best cutter, I should say, it can be.
Yeah, and a lot of people will make daggers with these big flared tips, but that's not the design of daggers. And I kind of did do that a bit with this piece, but daggers are designed for stabbing. So you really want a fine but robust tip, because you got to pierce that chainmail, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, your enemy is not going down. So that was the intent.
Oh man. Well, actually, when you held up the other dagger, it almost looks like a short sword. You know, maybe you're slightly out of the dagger realm with this. It
is a very large for a dagger, and this one was more with the mind of swinging. Ultimately, it's more of an art knife, but yeah, that one's better for slashing.
How long is the blade on the one you were just holding, the slashing one?
That one is, I believe, 12 inches, 12 and a half inches.
I have an unspoken, well, I guess I've spoken it before, but to me, anything over 13 is kind of in the short sword category.
Yeah.
So you're almost there.
Almost there.
Anything else we can take a look at?
Yeah. Here's actually one of my not so art pieces, but it's just a little chef's knife that I made. And this is trying to be simple, but still elegant, and something that you can use in the kitchen for just about anything. If you were going to have, one knife in your kitchen, it'd be something like this, or at least that's what I would want.
Hold it on. Let's see the spine of it real quick.
Yeah, it's very thin. Up here, I think it's 120 thousandths, and then I forged in the taper. It goes all the way down, and it goes pretty much to 0 right to the edge.
Have you used this? Have you tested this?
This one I have not, but I've made others that are similar to this, so I know that it's going to work.
It's wicked through. So what are the challenges of making a kitchen knife as opposed to something like the big dagger?
The biggest challenge with a chef's knife is how thin it is. If you don't know how the steel works, even just like grinding it in a weird way, adding heat in a weird way, depending on the steel, it can warp very easily. So getting it straight is one of the biggest things. Yeah, it can be tricky to do that sometimes.
So what's your favorite part of the process? You've shown us kitchen knives, robust outdoor knives that you make, that you do stock removal process, and then art knives. That's a pretty, that's a wide set of capabilities. What do you like best? What do you like best? And do you find that it's kind of similar when you're making all three knives?
I don't know. The thing with me is I like to dabble. I don't really like to stick with one thing. I want to come up with new designs and stuff. And doing the same thing over and over again is boring to me. So I can't do the same thing over and over again.
So tell us about the American Bladesmith Society. That you're a part of that, right?
Yes, I'm an apprentice smith. Next Atlanta Blade Show, I hope to be testing for journeyman. That'll be I've spent almost 3 years as an apprentice, and then after that, another 2 years, and I'll be able to go for mastersmith.
So what are the things you feel you have to work on to pass the mastersmith test?
Mastersmith.
I mean, I'm sorry, not mastersmith.
Journeyman.
Journeyman. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm ready for journeyman. I think as long as I've heard a lot of people be like, keep it really simple, just make sure it's clean. And I think I'm gonna maybe not do that. I'm gonna do some simpler pieces and then maybe kind of go wild on one piece, which might hurt me, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, I think why not? Nothing ventured, nothing gained. You know, excuse me. Why not show off what you got? I mean, it's, you know, as long as it's clean, because I've heard that, and I know your work is clean, and as long as you can bend it and it can do all that performance stuff, right?
Yeah, the performance. I haven't done any test knives yet to see that. Yeah, it can meet the parameters, but I'm very confident that I can do that without any issues.
So before we were talking about kind of testing your knives, and so do you do that when you make knives periodically? Do you test things out, make sure your heat treat's right, just by taking it out in the woods and banging on it, that kind of thing?
Yeah, now with a steel like ADC/2, which is what this is in, I don't really have to worry about it too much because I know the process. But when I grab a new steel, I'll definitely do testing on it. And I mean, even with this piece, I did take it out and test it, so I know it works, right?
Yeah, I always like hearing how people go about testing their stuff, and I like hearing about the buckets full of blades that they've discarded and that kind of thing, just in testing. It seems like
a few of those.
Seems like a necessary part of the process. Jim, can you scroll back down the way you're coming? I want to see that kitchen knife on the right. Look at that. What is that crazy, that funky grind there? Upper left-hand corner.
That's called an S grind. So basically it's kind of a light convex, and then you put a hollow grind in it, and you can kind of see the lines there where it starts with that. And that just, when you are cutting into something, the blade will just kind of drop away, and then like air can get in between the food and the blade, and then that food will just drop off. There's no stick at all.
That is cool. I love that because I have, I used to work in kitchens, and then, I've been a home cook for a long, long time. And there's this one thing. I mean, I have a great kitchen knife that I love. We have 3 of them, some custom kitchen knives, but still, still get that stick. And I've seen some of the Japanese blades that have giant holes in them. And I always thought that was cool, but they're few and far between. I love this convex idea on one side. That's cool.
Yeah. Oh, you mean the like asymmetrical, only convex on one side?
Oh, I don't know. I thought maybe that's how you did it. How did you do it on this one?
So that one's symmetrical. It has that hollow on both sides. So you could use it either way. If you're very specific with what you are cutting, then maybe go with an asymmetrical. But for general purpose, you're probably going to want a symmetrical with it on both sides.
Yeah, yes, okay. Just from the picture, I was assuming for some reason it was flat on the backside, because the knife I know is already thin, and to see the hollow in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that makes sense. And then you have like this wedge, and then it drops away, so it falls off of both sides.
Yeah.
How big is kitchen knives? I'm sorry, you were going to say something.
I was going to say, like, when you're grinding that fuller, I'll say, for the S grind, that section through there, because you're grinding on both sides, gets really thin. So you've got to be careful to not grind through that, but also keep it rigid enough that it's not going to break.
So does having that shape and having it thicker on the spine and then thinning out and thickening back up. That kind of makes it rigid, right?
Yeah. And the blade overall is pretty thin still, but I mean, the food's not going to touch the spine because it's the base is kind of wedging the food out in a way almost. Obviously, it's still very thin, so it's going straight through.
Right.
Yeah.
That's I like the idea. It's I don't want to say it's novel. Have other people done that, or is that something you've done? Is that something you kind of came up with?
It's quite common in higher end pieces. Now with something like this is obviously not S ground, but and you can kind of see with the lighting a little bit that it does have a light convex grind to it, which kind of helps peel the food away and to drop off.
You don't happen to have an S-curve knife on you right now, do you?
No, I don't have any right now.
Okay. These questions are getting personal for me because I was tasked by my sister like several months ago to find a cool kitchen knife for a friend of hers. And I really like the sound of this, so I might have to talk to you offline about
for sure
an S grind. That's pretty cool. So what I was going to ask you before is how big are kitchen knives in your business? How much percentage wise, how many do you make for customers?
Percentage wise, maybe a quarter, 25-30%. It's not something I do all the time, but it is something I enjoy, especially like that S ground knife that you just saw. That was for a custom order. It was actually a friend. He found out I was making knives, and he's like, I'm going to give you a budget. I want you to go make me a knife. Don't tell me what you're making. Just surprise me. So that's what I made.
That is cool. That's a good friend, and man, he made out. So how do you go into the future with, are you Bandeko knives, Bandeko knives or Bandeko blades? What do you go by?
Yeah, just Joseph Bandeko. I hope to grow my business as that, just kind of establish my name.
Yeah.
I don't really want to have to tag on the end that, Bandeko knives, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would like my name to just be recognizable. I don't need to be famous by any means, but that would be cool.
Knife famous.
Yeah.
So how do you want to build your business into, is this something in the future you see taking on other makers, kind of apprenticing them under you and kind of, or is it more of an art practice, if you will, like a singular sort of thing?
For now, it's definitely been just single, but I would definitely be interested and love to sharing the craft. And I have helped some other younger makers kind of get started and figure out some things if they have questions. But yeah, I would definitely be open in the future to taking on an apprentice or such.
All right. So speaking of the future, what are the blades? What are the weapons or implements you want to make in the future that you haven't worked yourself up to yet?
Well, the biggest thing right now, I think the past couple years, actually, I've been in my head designing a sword, my first sword. And I'm a little scared, but I'm excited to give it a go. And one of the challenges is going to be saving the money just to make it, because it's going to be expensive just to make. And I think I'm gonna do like at least 6 keyholes on it.
Oh, wow.
Mosaic Damascus. I've got an idea for that. I'm thinking about doing like maybe gold wire wrapping on the handle, all that. And I'm just gonna go wild with it.
Oh, that sounds cool. Gold wire. So you said 6 keyholes. Does that mean the tang goes all the way through all of the elements of the keyhole?
Yeah. That tang would go all the way through and then like thread into the pommel.
Okay.
Because I need that strength, right? I can't not have the tang go all the way through. So that is going to be a challenge, getting all those pieces to fit up through the tang. Like, I mean, it was tricky with a piece like this, right? But I mean, this is 3 pieces right here, as opposed to, however many pieces I decide to put on that handle for the sword.
That's cool. Yeah, when you were kind of talking about the double keyhole on the large dagger, I wasn't taking into account that, of course, you've got the tang going through there too. I was thinking of just the wood and how it fit up, and it's got to be a lot of very precise carving.
Yeah, the carving, I think I spent. Now this is my 3rd attempt with that wood, but I think I spent a full day with each piece, and then obviously the 3rd one I got it right. But yeah, the shaping isn't too hard. This is a pretty simple shape, but just scraping away the sides little by little, fitting it up, taking it off, putting it on. That took a lot of time just to get it right.
So what does this sword look like? Is this a Western sword, like a Middle Ages kind of thing, or is it from another part of the world?
No, it's going to be kind of a Western double-edged. I don't know if I'm going to do like a fuller yet. But yeah, it's going to be a larger 2-handed double-edged sword.
So could your forge take that, or do you have to heat it in different sections?
Yeah, I think I'm actually going to have to build a bigger forge for this one. My main forge right now, I built it kind of small. It's a single burner. I just wanted to be efficient with it, and I can do most stuff in that, but for some things like that, I'm just not going to be able to do that. In fact, the starting billet for the Damascus, I'm going to need a bigger forge just to fit the Damascus in the forge.
Oh, wow. So what about other things like axes? Now you have me in this whole medieval thing, and I'm thinking sword, but do you ever make axes or anything like that?
I have designed and thought about making axes. I just haven't gotten around to it yet, but it's definitely something I would like to do.
In the offing, man. Well, it seems like you have a lot of possibilities open to you. Is this your first job?
Yes.
If I may pry, that's pretty amazing, man. So you'll be able to make a career, make a life in making knives if that's what you decide to do. Seems like you've already decided it, and I don't mean to sound like the old guy talking to the young guy, but I think it's great. You've really accomplished a lot in a small period of time.
Yeah. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome. So I think, the world is your oyster as far as knife making. Show us the one that you showed us at the very front. Now that we've seen pretty much everything on your table, I think, go back to that Persian style and tell us about this, and hold up the blade close so we can see.
This one?
Yes.
Yeah. So this one is Lord of the Rings themed. It was based off of the Anduin River from Lord of the Rings in Middle Earth. And I don't know how well you can see it, but the kind of like clamshell fluting pattern on the handle here is kind of to mimic the streams coming out of the mountain, coming into one. And then there's, you can't really see it in this lighting, but there is a center line down the handle here. So it kind of comes into one. And then I've got a feather pattern for the guard.
Yeah.
That's kind of to mimic like the Falls of Rojos.
The what?
The waterfalls on the river.
Okay.
And then kind of a river pattern. Got some fingerprints on here, but kind of a river pattern, Damascus, kind of subtle. And this was, I spent a lot of time thinking about how I could make a pattern that would give off a river vibe. And I actually used clay, black and white clay, and put it together and molded it. Kind of like, okay, yeah, this looks good. And then I did it in steel.
Oh, that's a great idea. I've never heard of anyone doing that. That's a great idea. Oh, no, don't put that away yet. That is a great idea. You can just see how it's going to come together.
Yeah. A few old timers do that, and I kind of learned them. Like Steve Schwarzer does that. I think he might have been the first one, I'm not sure, to kind of use clay for Damascus trials, if you will. Yeah. But yeah, it's very helpful to just kind of envision a pattern that you're working on. And obviously it changes a little bit with steel because it's different. Yeah, it definitely helps.
Do you make sheaths?
I do. I actually don't have any sheaths with me, but I've got some up on my Instagram. If you want to go check that out.
What do you, in leather?
Yeah, in leather. Okay. And as well as I'll do some Kydex ones as well.
Sure. Yeah, I was just thinking they all need some sort of beautiful sheath because, man, it'd be great to carry. Yeah, I know they're a little, fanciful to be walking around with, but you do make some more pedestrian style knives.
Yeah, and I mean, with something like this, if somebody wanted a sheath with this, I could make a sheath with that afterwards, but I just haven't made one yet for it.
Yeah. It seems like making the knife itself is the big deal, and then if someone wants it, you make them a sheath. And you're good.
And that's another thing. Part of the reason I'll sometimes not make a sheath is I don't know how the person wants to carry it. They might want to carry it scout. They might want to just carry it hanging, traditional. They might want to go around their back on a sling kind of thing. So, that's customizable.
Like the big chopper. I could see wearing that on the back.
Yeah. Where did that go? It's right in front of me.
Yeah. Oh, that is cool. I mean, that thing needs to be in movies. All right. Before I let you go, hold that up and let's take a look at that and tell people how they can get in touch with you or follow your work.
Yeah. You can see me on Instagram at Joseph_Bandeko. You can also email me. My email is on my Instagram. It's jband8700@gmail.com. So yeah, you can email me through there. Or if you want to go see some of my reviews or some of my other knives, you can go find me on Blade Forums. Same, Joseph Bandeko.
Cool. Joseph, thank you so much for coming on the Knife Junkie podcast, sir. It's been a real pleasure meeting you, seeing your work, and talking about how you made it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really, really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, sir. Take care.
Yeah, see ya.
Ever order a knife online and have it delivered to the office so your wife doesn't know? Chances are you're a knife junkie.
Never done that. Joseph Bandeko, there he goes, ladies and gentlemen. Bladesmith extraordinaire. Keep your eye on him. He's done some incredible work so far, and I know it's gonna get even better. That Bowie is mine all day long. All right, thanks for watching. For Jim working his magic behind the switcher, I'm Bob DeMarco saying, until next time, don't take dull for an answer.
Thanks for listening to the Knife Junkie podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and review at reviewthepodcast.com. For show notes for today's episode, additional resources, and to listen to past episodes, visit our website, TheKnifeJunkie.com. You can also watch our latest videos on YouTube at TheKnifeJunkie.com/YouTube.